How were these mines connected? At what levels do you remember being connected?
They were called the water levels. The 1200 was the first connection. That's where the pumps were. Then it was the 1800. Then it was the 2800. Then it was the 3800. And then it was the 38, lower 38, which is they called the 39 of the Kelly. But all the mines were connected by the water tunnels.
So all the water and all the mines ran on those levels toward the high ore and then the Kelly.
Yeah.
Which later became the Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay.
The high ore was up above there.
Now, was there besides the 4,000 foot level, was there another levels that you worked on often between the mines? You know.
Oh yeah, not too many. The Stewart and the Con were tied in on lots of levels.
What about the Stewart and the Kelly?
No, just the water tunnels always went over from the Stewart over to the Kelly.
What about the Stewart and the original?
Oh yeah, they were tied together. And the original and the Emma were tied together. You go down to the Emma, the 1600 of the Kelly, the Leonard, not the, this original. Walk right down under the city of Butte to the 1600 of the Emma. That was the bottom of the Emma, was the 1600.
And then how was the Stewart and the Anselmo hooked together?
Ton the same way. Upper levels, a lot of the upper levels were tied together. Same way, that's to say the water tunnel on the 20, say the water tunnel on the 1800 came right through the Stewart.
And it was on grade, so the water flowed in that direction.
Yeah, flowed that way, yeah.
And then how far out under the valley did the Stewart drifts go? Do you
Down
think?
around Front Street, the Belmont there had drifts going way out under Timber Butte. The Turbonia down there had drifts going up into Williamsburg, you know what they call Williamsburg? Yeah. Up in that area there, up around the ski, up in there. You go north on the Mountain Con, all the way to the Alice.
Okay.
On the 4,000 of the Mountain Con, you could go clean to the Alice shaft. On the 30, the Moose fan, which was the biggest fan of all in the camp, pulled all the air out of the Stewart, the Con, the Badger. It was the biggest fan. It had a great big tube. Did you ever see where the Moose fan was?
No.
Well, I'll take you up there some, we'll show you. But there was so much, it had so much power and pressure, they had to put a big baffles on, of dirt. And then at the end of it, where the snout come out, they had to put up dirt. They never had to worry about the Moose fan going down. The minute the Moose fan went down, everybody in Walker would come awake at nighttime because the sound ended. But every year, you had to go through that air shaft and keep that open. Now this might sound complicated, but it was in a way. You went up to the...
This is what Ropeman did.
Yeah, we went down up to the Badger, or out to the Badger to start with, yeah. There was a tunnel going over on the 900 of the Badger to the 900 of the Moose shaft. Now the fan is down. The Moose shaft. Okay, we got a roll of cable. We put on a cage up there. And we bring that roll of cable down to the 900. And in there in the 900 is a torpedo deck. Pointed just like a torpedo. Could hold 2 men. They call it a suicide deck. You hook the cable on, just the same identical way as you would here. You give them 3 slow bells, and Sean O'Neill was his name. You pull it up. 900 feet of cable hanging and the torpedo hanging underneath. One station tender, Copper Hughes's father, would get in the bottom deck and watch the shackle where the cable was hooked onto. He had a barrel in there and he'd sit on a nail barrel. Brisbane and one station tender would get in that suicide deck. They had a whole bundle of loading sticks. And that's what you kept yourself from spinning.
Oh, I see.
All right, they went from there, from that 900, they went to there was enough that the cage could go down past one ropeman had to stay on that 900 too. Down you went, they got to the 2000. Everything was fine. Octagon now, you're in an octagon shaft, you know. Okay. Everything's fine. No problems. They come back up. They get off the cage there on the 900 and they go across to the Badger. They're done for today. Brisbane and his partner. Okay, and so does Mr. Hughes. Now me and the other ropeman, we go back up and we took off the cage, that torpedo, and we rolled up that cable on that reel and we put it in the deck with us, and up we go to the surface, to the moose, and we're done. Okay, next Sunday, you go in on the 2000 and you got to hang ship wheels in the shaft. There's a hoist there, all covered over everything. You go in and there's two big beams just like them across the shaft, and you got to put the wheel up there. And then you got a cage there, and you take the cable off that drum and you go up over that wheel and you bring it down. The machinist put the wheel up and we rig it for them and they put it in the shaft. They had to bolt it down to them beams. Then you got another deck. Now we're going from the 2200 to the 3200. It's got 1,000 or 1,200 feet of cable or more on that drum. So down they go again. This time it's going this way. The cage slides down the shaft. They get to the 32 of the it's the 3200 of the moose, which also is the 3200 of the Badger. You go across again, you come out of the Badger. Okay, that's done. Takes 8 hours. Then the machinist and the ropeman, we all work together, tear all that stuff down, put the cable back. They get on the cage. They walk out to get on the cage at the Badger shaft, and up they go. Okay, next Sunday we go out. We go back to the 3200 of the Badger. There's another hoist in there, all covered up, sealed good against the temperature off this room, just like the room, the engine room. Another, you got to put the beams in this one in the shaft. I don't forget, from there to the next stop is to 4,000. You fall down that shaft at 3,200, you're 800 feet wide open. But we have to put them beams in place, lock them in, put the shiv wheel in, put the cable over it, hook on the cage, swing the cage in. They get on it again. They go, that ain't too bad. That's almost a straight shaft. But they still got the loading sticks because they're hanging out in the middle of the area. They go to the 4,000 in the mountain con. Everything's okay. They rig it in the clear, and up comes the cage, and there's nobody on it. They got off at the 4,000 and went out to the con shaft to come up the con. They had a truck waiting for them, took them back to the Badger. Yeah. Brisbane used to sing the same song all the time. He was the foreman. He later, him and Butt Blocks and what they call it, Hurley, all got gassed. They got killed at Granite Mountain. They were going to the Leonard and they got into a dead end and they didn't have helmets on and they all died. They were gassed. Sugar was, but they called them Butt Blocks. But Emmett Murphy went down one time with us, and you can ask Emmett Murphy. We come up, he got off. He went from the 900 to the 2000, and he got off on the 900, and he says, I'll see you guys later, and he went across the drift to the Badger. We come up out of the mine at the Badger. We pulled off the company property, and he was waiting for us down there. But just before you get into Walkable, he flags us down. Got off and come out. What's the matter, Emmett? He said, you know, anybody that got guts enough to go down, that son of a bitch needs a drink, and he had a fifth. But that's up to you.
Now that was all just to clean out the air shaft, wasn't it?
Just make sure there was nothing, no obstructions, because if it was anything an obstruction to fall down, then it'd go into the tube of the fan, see, that was pulling all that air out. Well, they could fly in that impeller, and man, she'd tear that impeller to pieces, rocks, boulder, anything. They had to clean it down. It was,
yeah.
But nothing should go down there because that's the only time they went down there was once a year. But if a segment was out in that octagon, they had to come back up and get one and take it down and put it in. But it was, I'll tell you.
Now the ropeman, you were a ropeman underground, but you were